come into our space, finding that comfy seat with a bit of support under the sitting bones. Just taking your time to settle into your space. You might even like to look around and just kind of notice your surroundings. Notice the space that you've made within your surroundings, however big or small that is. But just see if you can kind of conceptualize this little bubble, this little pocket that's just for you within your space. You might like to look to your screen or just conceptualize this connection that we have with one another, practicing in different places, perhaps at different times, but coming together in this practice nonetheless. And then coming within our physical body, how can we settle in this morning? Do you want to let go with a big sigh? Do you want to roll and shrug the shoulders? Do you feel ready to find stillness straight away? Connecting in through the sitting bones, through the legs, the feet, down towards the earth. You might like to close the eyes as we just watch our next few out breaths. Chance to soften and settle and arrive here in this practice, knowing that we're exactly where we need to be for this next hour together. Now, I invite you to meet whatever is going on for you today within your physical body specifically. So often there's lots of stories that we tell ourselves about our body, about the different sensations that we experience, about the different feelings we have about our bodies. Can we just greet whatever those are for you today? And in greeting those stories, seeing if we can perhaps just acknowledge them as stories that we tell ourselves and set them a little bit to the side. And instead, can we just for a moment think about how we want to feel in our bodies or about our bodies, with our bodies? Is there a word or a phrase that comes to mind about how, if everything that we have frustrations with was resolved, how would we feel different? What would we actually feel within ourselves that showed us that something had shifted? And perhaps therein lies a key for what we can focus on in our practice this morning. So not a feeling that we might one day achieve if our pain resolves or if we change something we want to change. Can we find elements of that feeling, that intention within our bodies through our practice right here and now? So perhaps if that's a sense of spaciousness or lightness, how can we find that lightness, that space, perhaps with our breath, perhaps with ease in the body? We're looking to feel a little more grounded and comfortable and settled. How can we find that here and now? Even if it's not everything that we feel, but just bring our focus there. So I invite you to sit with this embodied intention today. And keep coming back to it. It's natural and normal that those other stories will pop up or new ones will come along. When that happens, when we notice it, can we shift ourselves back to focusing on how we want to feel? One or two more breaths here with that focus. And then when you're ready, if you could open your eyes if you had them closed, and let's just take our heels out wide, stretching the legs long. Fall a little forwards on your support, be more comfortable for the lower back, give us a nice position for the spine. And from here, we'll find a little movement forwards and backwards. So as you're ready, just a slow, steady walk away with the fingertips. You probably won't have to go very far to feel a big stretch in the back of the legs. And then gently walking the fingertips back up. So taking that a few times through a gentle walk or slide forwards. You could slide the hands depending on your surface and coming back up. Working with your breath and just checking in as you come forwards that we are able to do it with a long spine rather than a hunch or a roll forwards. And if you find yourself hunching, just make that next round a little smaller. See if you can hinge from the hips, keeping the whole spine long. You might notice over a couple of rounds that you find a little more space or a little more ease. You can really feel into the back of the legs a little more. Beautiful. Let's take 2 more here. And the next time we come back upright, let's find side bends here. So we can bring the left hand down beside us, that right arm reaching up and over. And then we'll gently change sides back and forth, finding a rhythm with your breath. Can we soften into the supporting elbow to give that bottom shoulder some space? Really reach up and as far over as you would like to today. Completely up to you how far you want to take it. You can press into this bottom hand to really support the upper body. And it's up to you. You're welcome to stay with this straight side to side movement. If you'd like a bit of a different transition, when we come up and over, we can bring this top hand down around in front, sort of through that forward folding position we were just playing with, until we plant the other hand and scoop the arm up over the ear. And then we come back the other way. So the top arm comes down in front of the face, around in front. We can walk or slide the hands and up and over. It might not feel right for your back. And if that's the case, you can come back to that side version. And same with the forward sweep. You can make it as big or as small as you like. You can stay quite upright or really lean it forwards if that's comfortable for the hips and the back. Let's take 1 more to each side. Nice work. Let's come back up to center, coming upright here. And we'll bring the legs back in. You might be able to slide them in on their own, or you can support underneath the knees. And let's come over to hands and knees, setting our supports to the side. Bringing wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Let's find some cat and cow movements here when you're ready. Inhale, we can really push and arch up to the ceiling, really creating space in the back of the body. And then inhale, lengthening the front a little to draw the gaze a little forwards. Back and forth with your breath. You could stay in a really neutral kind of up and down movement, or if it feels good for you to bring any side to side movements with that cat and cow, you definitely can. Checking in that you can stay with the breath. But in all these movements today, once you feel like you've got kind of the mechanics of it, you've tuned into what feels right for you today, coming back to your intention. Does your intention guide you to change the movement in any way, or just to bring your attention to a particular part of it, whether it's the body, whether it's the breath, whether it's the parts where you're experiencing stretch, or where you're really engaging and strengthening the body? Let's just take a couple more cat and cows. Beautiful. And from here, we'll spend a little time on our hands and knees. So if at any stage you want to bring extra padding under the knees, or you want to roll up the mat and pad under the heel of the hand just to reduce that wrist angle, you can do that anytime you need. From here, let's take the right leg straight back, tucking the toes under, reaching it long, feeling into the back of the leg here. Really anchoring through both hands and through that left leg. Let's just twist the foot in and out. So see if you can just swivel the foot, the right foot, pointing the toes away to the right, the heel to the left, and then go the other way, the toes to the left and the heel to the right. So the heel kind of just tick-tocks backwards and forwards, rotating that right leg. See if we can do it without rotating the hips and the rest of the body as well. You might notice the direction at the knee points changes. Beautiful. Then let's come back to neutral, toes and knee pointing towards the floor, strong through the hands. Let's step this right foot away around to the right. Now you could slide it or step it. It's up to you how far you want to go. Then can we pick it up and take it up over behind the left leg? So we're crossing over behind. It doesn't matter how far. We're working between those two, taking it out to the right and then around behind the left. Beautiful. Chances are you start to feel this in the left outer hip. That left leg is doing a lot of stabilizing work here. Can we check in with the breath? Can we make this something that feels good? If you've got a slidey floor, you can even slide that foot around kind of rainbow semicircle type shapes. Let's go one more each side, one more out, one more cross behind. Coming back to center, bringing that right leg in. And you might take some circles with the hips here or settle straight back to child's pose. Depending on if you're looking for relief through the wrists, I recommend coming back and just taking a squeeze and a stretch of the fingers, a roll of the wrists. If you're wanting to release in that left hip a bit more, some sways of the hips or some circles of the hips might help get into that sensation in the left muscles, the left outer hip, the left glutes. Let's take one more full breath, whatever option is feeling good for you. And we'll come back up here together. So let's take the left leg back this time, tucking the toes under, feeling into the back of the leg, everything else strong, stable, connected. And then let's take that tick-tock of the heel. So the heel just tipping a little over to the left, the toes spin around to the right. And then going the other way, the heel tips over to the right, and the toes point to the left into that rotation of the leg. Internal rotation where the toes spin inwards towards the other side of the body is often not an area we have a lot of range of motion. And then when you're ready, we can find that stepping out to the side with the left foot, coming back to neutral first, stepping the left foot out to the side, and then stepping across behind the right. And it's up to you if you go straight behind the right foot, just coming a little way across the center line of the body, or whether you feel like you've got space to bring it all the way across behind. Again, limiting the movement in the rest of the body by pressing strongly through the hands with soft elbows, really feeling into that support of the right leg. You could slide that foot on its transitions if that feels good and works on your surface. Can we connect to breath here? Let's take one more in each direction. And then coming back to center, bringing that knee in, and again, taking a few breaths of releasing, whether that's through the hips with some circles or through the wrists, settling the hips back towards child's pose. Can you find what is right for you here? And then find your intention there within your body. Sitting with that focus that feels right for you today. Now let's make our way back up to hands and knees. Let's set the knees in under the hips, taking the left leg back again. So we're going to do that second side that we just did. And from that left foot at the back, let's spin the toes away to the left and take this right foot underneath us away behind, working into our gate pose. So we're going to press into the right hand. Let's take some twists to begin. So inhale, opening up. Exhale, let's bring those top fingertips around either towards the wrists or maybe even through underneath a little. Inhale to open up wide. And then exhale to curl towards the bottom hand or a little way past underneath, depending on what feels right for you here. Finding a rhythm with your breath, finding that big squeeze of the top shoulder blade towards the spine as we open up, space across the chest, and then a wrapping away of the upper back as we come down. Let's do one more of these. Coming back, opening up when we're ready. You can stay planted with the back foot, or if you want to add that little bit of balance, you could. And then from either of those places, whether that back foot is up or down, can we take some circles with the arm? Just some big, gentle, sweeping circles, feeling space in the body. Beautiful. Let's do one more full circle. And then coming all the way back down, finding hands and knees again. And as we settle back to child's pose this time, let's take the knees a little wide, reaching the hands away. And if we can, keep arms gripping on the mat, and then with the weight of the hips, pulling a bit of length through the wrists, the forearms, the shoulders. It's that counterweight of the hands planted forwards and then the weight of the hips gently pulling the rest of the body back. Beautiful. Breathing into this space. Just one more breath. And then coming up gently. Let's set the knees under the hips again. Coming to the other side this time. Right leg extending long. Transitioning to our gate pose. That right foot spins away, toes pointing away to the right. Left foot underneath us spins away in the opposite direction. And let's start with those twists open. Inhale to open up tall. Exhale to lower and curl. And you might notice it's not just the arm that's moving. Can we notice the heart, the chest, opening out to the side as we inhale, and then curling back towards the floor as we exhale. It doesn't have to reach all the way around, but there is that little bit of spinal twist here. Using the arm, using the breath to get some movement into the middle and upper back. Let's take one more full round through. Inhale to open. And again, you could keep that back foot planted or lift it here, a little or a lot, completely up to you. From either of those places, can we bring some rotations of the arm here? Controlling it the whole way through that movement. You might even notice there's a little bit of a twisting action here too as the arm comes down. Perhaps the chest spirals towards the floor a little and then opens up again. One last circle here. Opening out wide, and then let's rotate ourselves back to hands and knees. One last time, finding that bit of release, whatever that looks like for you. If it feels better to be rotating and moving through the spine, do that. If it feels good to plant the hands and let the hips pull that length through the arms, it's a really great opportunity to try that. Finding your intention here in the stillness. And let's gradually work our way back up to hands and knees. Finding downward dog, tucking both sets of toes under, pressing strong through the hands, taking the chest back towards the thighs. As much softness in the knees as you need. Maybe you'd like to start with a pedal here. Maybe you feel ready to settle into stillness. Either way, pressing out strong through the hands, spine long. And then softening the knees, letting both heels relax towards the floor. They don't have to touch it at all. Can we engage in our strength here, feeling balance between the hands and the feet? And then that slow walk. Let's go to take the feet towards the hands today. Just take little tiny steps. Chances are we'll get to a point where we feel like we run out of room. You might want to come up on the fingertips or step the hands back a little to bring the weight into the feet. And can we settle in here? Softness in the knees, the belly, the chest kind of nuzzling into the front of the legs. Maybe you've got your hands on the floor, the legs, wherever works best for you. And if you like, you could relax the top of the head down, bringing some really gentle length through the spine. Maybe a little sway here. And in our forward folds, there's an awful lot going on. So when we're looking for this embodied intention, this intention that we find in the body, there's lots of different things we could pay attention to. We could pay attention to the way that compression in the belly, that gentle connection here. We could pay attention to the length in the back of the legs, or that really subtle pull of gravity, lengthening the spine. It could be the balance component, it could be the breath. Finding what it is in your body. And from here, let's take a slow, steady roll up, some softness in the knees, tucking the tailbone. Maybe the arms hang heavy, or maybe they walk up the spine as we uncurl each part of our vertebrae. Coming all the way up. Arriving maybe with a roll, maybe with a sigh. Just checking in now that we're upright. Can we bring a bit of softness in the knees? Can we feel this height through the spine? Maybe the shoulders relax down with the palms towards the body or out in front. And we're just going to find a bit of movement through the upper body, which will carry with us into some different positions later on. So let's start with a simple arm flow out. Inhale, out and up overhead, palms to touch overhead. Exhale, coming back down through the heart. I love this simple movement with the breath. It gives us a chance to really reach and expand, to gather it all in and bring it back down towards the earth. Let's take 2 more like that. Beautiful. Let's take a half round. So let's inhale to come up overhead. And then we're going to exhale, making fists with the hands and squeezing the elbows out wide. So really as if we're pulling down a big heavy bar. So inhale to lift and reach. Exhale to squeeze and draw down, hopefully activating, engaging these sides of the body. A couple more like that, working with your breath. Let's do one more time, a big lift and reach. Exhale to pull down. And then leaving the elbows out wide, we'll bring a little movement for the chest. So we can inhale to draw the elbows back behind, squeezing the shoulder blades together. And then exhale, wrapping the forearms around towards each other. Maybe they connect, maybe they don't, but the shoulder blades are wrapping around, we're reaching the arms forwards. So continuing like that with the breath. Inhale to reach open and away behind as far as you want to go. Exhale to squeeze around. To start with, let's try and keep our spine quite neutral. So we've got a softness in the knees, these lowest ribs are tucked in line with the body. They're not kind of jutting out too far. But then after a couple of rounds, if you want to bring that spine movement in, you can. So if we think of our cat curling in a little, only if that all means do. This is a lot for the arms. So let's take one more. Releasing to that neutral wide position, reaching up overhead. Let's reach, 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 inhaling here. And then with the exhale, a big sweep and release. So letting the arms swing down. We'll take a couple more of those. You can bring, we want to bring some softness in the knees. You can sit down a lot further and almost come to a forward fold if you like. So you can inhale to reach up tall. Big exhale to release in your own time. One more time through. Beautiful. And from the front of your space, let's come through our salute to the sun. So setting yourself up in mountain pose here. Let's inhale to reach out and up, finding that little bit of lift in the heart. And exhale, folding forwards, belly to thighs, knees soft, hinging from the hips. Getting anchored through the feet. Let's look at the feet and step the right foot straight back from where it is. Bringing that knee down. Sitting through that left front foot. And let's come up onto the thigh if we can. We can add extra padding through that back knee if that's helpful. Coming to whatever degree feels good for this hip. You can shuffle this front foot forwards or backwards. And then let's take this left foot and squiggle it away on about a 45-degree angle. So finding an angle for that front foot so it's straight out in line. So rather than around to the front like we normally have, we've just stepped away. And let's bring that left elbow or forearm onto the thigh. Beautiful. And inhale, let's sweep that right arm up and over the ear. And exhale to let it come back down. So inhale to sweep and reach up towards a big side bend. Exhale, release. Taking a few like that. Let's take one more big inhale, sweep up. And exhale, release down. Beautiful. Let's walk that foot back around to center. Bringing the hands down either side, and let's find our way back to our plank, whether you take that foot all the way around the outside now or bring it through the middle. Hands under shoulders, knees a little way behind the hips. Can we really engage and push through the hands? Then that space lift up in between the shoulder blades. And let's find a little bit of that push-up movement here. So inhale to lower down any amount and exhale to push back up. Keeping that lift in between the shoulder blades the whole way through. We connect into the strength of the hands. Beautiful work. Let's take one more time through, whether it's a centimetre or 10 centimetres, it doesn't matter. Tucking the toes, let's take that extending child's pose, drawing that length through the arms again. And then let's come all the way through to our Sphinx. So you could drop the forearms here and slide forwards, drawing the heart through, lowering the hips. Or if that doesn't work for you, you could come back up to plank, either lowering all the way to the floor or stepping one forearm down at a time. Either way, we'll all end up front of the hips, tops of the feet connecting with the floor, elbows underneath the shins. Can we use that connection through the forearms to draw the heart a little forwards, creating a little bit of lift and engagement through the belly? So I heard it described as if you've got a cold 5-cent piece underneath your belly button, just that little bit of engagement and lift here as well, supporting the movement in the back. We take one more breath here. And then gently releasing. Let's bring ourselves up to downward dog. Hands beside the ribs. You could come straight up through plank or come to tabletop. Taking the hips high here. Smooth and steady with the breath. Let's just take a few breaths in our downward dog. You can definitely come to child's pose if that's the better option for you here. In this stable kind of base position that can still feel like a lot of work, can we find our intention here, connecting in with what you want to feel in your body? Can we find that sensation with our physical sensations, with our focus? And we'll gradually take one more breath here. And then transitioning forwards with the right foot for our lunge on the other side. So you could take a big sweeping step through between the hands. You could bring the left knee down and help that foot along its way. Once we come with the right foot forwards, ankle underneath the knee, can we come up onto the thigh? And like we did on the other side, heel toe that foot away to the right to find that 45-degree angle. And it doesn't have to be 45 at all. It's just sort of that halfway point between straight out forwards and straight to the side. But if you need to make that angle smaller for your hips, please do. And then let's find that side sweep. So bringing a hand or a forearm onto the thigh, that left hand, inhale, sweeping up and over the ear, and exhale, releasing. Take that movement as big or as small as you like. Beautiful work. Let's do one more here. And then coming back down, let's squiggle that foot back to center. Coming into our standing forward fold, so we can tuck the toes, lift the back knee, taking that step back up to the front of your space, feet separated so you can feel supported. And maybe as we settle in here, you might like to stay still with the hands on the floor or the legs. You might like to hold opposite elbows or tuck the fists around inside the crook of each elbow. It's just a nice little way that we can take some of the tension out of the arms and let them truly hang here. Maybe stay still, maybe you find a little side to side movement. Then let's gently release, softening the knees, and we can roll slowly, steadily up to stand. As we arrive, a bit of a roll and release here. Taking whatever you need. If you want to grab a drink, if you want to stretch and squeeze out the upper body, spin the lower body. Lovely. And then let's come into the front of our space again. We're going to start with a chair pose here. So feet about hip width apart, hinging from the very top of the legs. We send the bottom back. As we come back, checking in that there is this wrapping, engaging sensation across the belly and that the tailbone is long here. So we're not kind of cat or cowing our spine. We're really neutral here. You might keep hands to the hips. You might bring one hand to the belly, one hand to the lower back, just to check that things are neutral, not tilted too far one way or the other. If you've got that bit of separation in the legs, can we imagine something solid there that we're squeezing and engaging into? Perhaps feeling that engagement around the outer hips here. Beautiful. Let's stay for a few breaths. You could keep your hands at the hips. You could bring them around in front, or you could extend them long overhead. If you do come over, check that these lowest ribs stay in line with the body. Checking wherever you are, you can breathe. And then let's start to shift. So we'll bring the arms down if you had them lifted. Let's shift our weight over to our left leg and take a big sliding step back with the right leg. So extending back and slowly shifting the weight back. You might want to straighten and bend that front leg a couple of times to find a bit of release there. See if we can bring some softness into this right leg with the heel lifting, really anchoring strong through both feet. And let's come through that arm flow again that we did in our mountain pose. So we're going to put it all together this time. Inhale to reach out and up. Exhale to squeeze the elbows out wide. Inhale to draw the elbows behind. Exhale to round them in front. Inhale to open out wide. Exhale, let's drive up tall. Let's come down through center to finish that off. Palms coming all the way down through. And we'll try that again. So we'll inhale out and up. Exhale, squeezing elbows out wide. Inhale, opening the chest a little here, elbows behind. Exhale to round the upper back. And gradually with the breath opening out. Coming upright and then down through center. Nice work. From here, let's open out to our warrior two. So this right foot's going to spin open to the right. The chest and the front of the hips turn with it, but we want to check in that this left knee is still over the ankle. Feeling strong and anchored through the hips. When you feel ready, we can extend the arms out wide here. Maybe you take your gaze over the left fingertips. Can we find that balance here, the strength and connection with this soft focus? And our warrior two, again, like our downward dog, has an awful lot going on. So where can we find a focus that fits with our embodied intention today? What part of this pose can you pay attention to? We'll stay for about 3 more breaths, taking a little longer hold today, settling in. You can adjust your position anytime you need. Beautiful. The next time we breathe in, let's flip that left palm to face the ceiling and then draw the hand up tall, finding our exalted warrior. Let's stay for a little here, feeling anchored in the left hip. So we can really lift and reach, feel that extension through the side of the body. Inhaling here. And then exhale, let's come forwards through our warrior two, finding side angle. Hand or forearm to the thigh. Feeling long, as if we're reaching all the way from those back outer edge of the foot to the fingertips. Using this engagement into the leg to kind of lift and reach this underside away from the leg. Beautiful. Let's work between the two, this front foot really helping us inhale to reach out and up. Exhale to come forwards and down. Back and forth for a few breaths here. Finding that rhythm with your breath one more time through. Beautiful. And then let's come back to our warrior two. Let's extend that front leg here and turning these toes around to face the right. so that we're in our sort of wide-legged position here. And then if it works for you, let's take a forward fold. So hinging at the hips here, spine long. You could bring the hands to the thighs, to the lower legs, to blocks or the floor. You can even walk yourself around in your space to come to a couch or a coffee table if that halfway fold feels really good and you're looking for some support there. Let me just take a breath or two, feeling into that space in the back of the legs. Beautiful. And then let's just gently heel toe the feet in and slowly support ourselves back up. Coming up, as you come up, you might like a standing spin. You could grab yourself a drink. Just take a few breaths with whatever you need. Lovely. And then let's come back to the front of our space for that chair pose and that way through that sequence on the other side. So again, hinging at the hips as we sit the bottom back, checking in with the low belly of the low back. I feel long and neutral here. Do you want to stay where you are in your chair pose or add the arms around in front or long overhead? We anchor through the feet, squeezing into that space in between the legs. And then taking that transition, shifting our weight over to the right leg this time. A sliding step back with the left. Sharing the weight, finding that appropriate length in the stride for you. Don't want to overstretch the hips. We want to still be able to really access our strength here. A softness in the back knee. Beautiful. Let's take 2 times through that arm flow when you're ready. So we can inhale out and up. Exhale, pulling the elbows out wide. Inhale to draw the heart forwards. Exhale, rounding the arms. And that slow, steady release. Down through center, back to the heart. And then when you're ready, inhaling out and up. Squeezing out wide. Opening the chest. Opening the upper back. Beautiful. Coming back down through to the heart. And then let's release. Let's find that warrior 2 transition. Back foot twisting open. Checking in with the right knee. It's still over the ankle. And then when you're ready, can we bring the arms out wide? Gaze over those right fingertips. We stay for that extended hold, bringing our focus where we want it to be, finding our intention here. Let's see if we can stay for 3 more breaths. Making any adjustments that we need. Last breath. When you're ready, to turn that right palm up, rip the leg. Can we anchor through this right hip so we can get a lovely side stretch here? And then inhaling back up through center, let's find side angle pose. Coming to the forearm or the hand on the thigh, long through the arm. Beautiful. Let's stay strong and engaged through the legs as we find our flow between those 2. Inhale to come out and up. Exhale to come forwards and down. Beautiful. Smooth and steady with the breath. One last time. And then this time coming back up through warrior 2 again. We'll release the arms and again lengthening and turning those right toes around. So we're in that wide-legged position. Coming to that forward fold again, and I invite you to find a solid surface for the hands this time. So if the floor is too far away, can you find yourself a couch, a coffee table? It doesn't need to be super solid. We're not going to put a lot of weight through our hands, but the option we're going to take is just a lot more accessible if the hands are on something other than the legs. So when you're ready, hinging from the hips, whether the hands come to the floor or to another surface, can we then creep the fingertips a little bit further away from the body and then start to draw the hips back behind us ever so slightly with the grip through the fingertips or the palms, whatever you've got in contact with the chair, with the floor, whatever you're using. And so it's a little bit child pose-like here. We're drawing some gentle length through the arms, length through the spine, possibly feeling that stretch on the outer hips here. If you want to have a go on a different surface or change the angle of what you're working with, you can do that at any time. This is a beautiful one. I love to do this at the kitchen sink, where you can wrap your fingertips around into the top of the sink and then pull back with that bit more solid grip here. You could do it on a door frame as well. Lots of ways to find something that's really firmly anchored and then pull gently away. You breathe space into the length in the spine. And again, let's soften the elbows, walking the feet slowly in, coming back up to a supported standing position, and then taking a moment with whatever you need. Some movement, a drink, just a pause. And before we come down, let's just explore our tree pose here today. Shifting our weight over to the left leg, let's bend and turn out the right knee, finding that best place for you. Do you want to connect the toes and rest the heel in? Do you want to bring the foot up a little or a lot? Finding that best place for you today. As we connect in, can we bring the sole of the right foot really firmly in towards the left leg? And then finding the position with the hands that works best for you in terms of balance, but also in terms of this intention. If you're wanting a bit more solid connection, a bit more stability, you could keep the hands down low, either at the hips or at the heart. If you're wanting a bit more spaciousness or lightness or playfulness, you could bring the hands up overhead, keeping them together or opening them out wide. Playing around anywhere that you'd like to be today. As always, if you're looking for a little more support, we can bring the gaze down towards the floor, finding a spot that isn't moving. If you're feeling confident in the balance and you'd like a little more challenge, you can always bring the gaze ahead or even up. Shifting that focus for the gaze can bring just little extra elements of challenge for us. Can we stay for one more full, steady breath? And then releasing gradually, hands in and down, that right leg around and down. A bit of a shake or a roll here if you like before changing sides. And then when you're ready, finding that anchoring through the right leg, the left knee bending and turning out to whatever degree, toes connecting, foot connecting. Can we squeeze and engage in? And as we do, we've been playing a lot with this sort of active tree pose over a few weeks. If you can remember that sensation, do you feel that outer hip engaging as you push that foot in? Can you feel into that sensation? And once you're stable and settled, adjusting it to where you'd like to be. We can change position with the arms, we can adjust our gaze. We can find the focus for our embodied intention right in this place. And we stay for 2 more breaths. And then that slow, gradual release. Hands releasing down, leg releasing down. A pedal here. And then a slow coming down towards the floor. So a couple of options. You can forward fold, walking your hands out. If you want to come through that squat version, which we've done a few times, you're welcome. It's a lot for the knees. So if you've got any sensitivities there, it might be one to leave out or just to approach, you know, with a lot of awareness to that area. If as we're coming down at any point it does get too much for the knees, you can forward fold from there. So just bring the hands down and then walk yourself out and come down. If you'd like to try this one with me, we can bring the hands up to shoulder height, palms facing in towards each other. And it's as if we're sliding our back down an imaginary wall behind us. So rather than like our chair pose where we hinge, this one we're staying quite upright, and that will mean the heels want to lift. So we want to be able to breathe smoothly and steadily and just slowly, gradually lower down. Again, you can forward fold out of this at any time. If you come down to that place where you've come all the way down to that crouch, you can pause for a moment and then release. And then we'll all meet together with our hips or sitting bones on the floor, feet around in front. You might like to take a bit of a sway, a tick-tock with the feet side to side. We're going to have a little play with boat pose with some options for rocking and rolling. So I just want to have a go at the rocking and rolling first. Some people love it. Other people find it's not for them. If it's not for you, that's completely okay. You can leave out this bit. If you are wanting to try it with our feet flat in front, we can bring our hands behind our knees and lengthening our arms a little, we can curl ourselves back and slowly walk the feet back towards the bottom to the point where they lift off, and we kind of tip our weight back using a bit of momentum from the feet. We can rock down the length of the spine and come back up. So you could have a few goes at that movement if it's new for you or you want to feel into the spine. For those of us that love it, it just feels really good. So have a few goes through that. Beautiful. Then we'll come back up, and what we're going to try is having a little go with our boat pose and then releasing our boat pose back into a rock and roll and then coming back up to our boat pose again. And so if that rock and roll isn't right for you, feel free to come forwards and out of your boat pose and then come back into it like that. So lots of different options, hopefully, so you can find the one that's right for you. Bringing the hands behind the knees, let's focus on a long spine here. And as we walk the feet back towards the bottom, can we tilt the body back with a long spine? So not like our rock and roll where we were rounding. This time the chest is proud. We've got space across the collarbones. Maybe it feels right to keep the toes connected here, or maybe you want to lift the feet but keep them tucked. If this is feeling okay, you might come anywhere up to parallel with the floor with the legs. Anywhere along that line that feels right for you. Long spine here, smooth and steady breath. And then from wherever you are, if you want to take that rock and roll, let's slowly lengthen out the arms and curl the spine, and then slowly tip ourselves back and come back up, seeing if we can arrive back in that boat balance. Whatever version of that balance worked for you, can you release a rock and roll and then come back to that boat with the tall spine? It can feel like a lot to come back to that balanced place. So if you touch down first and then come back and find your boat, it doesn't matter. Let's just take 2 or 3 more goes. And again, if that rocking and rolling isn't working, find your boat pose, whatever version you like, and then just walk the feet forwards, folding over the legs a little and then coming back into it that way. Beautiful. Let's come through one more release, whether you're rocking back or folding forwards. And then this time, let's rock and roll, coming down to the floor or releasing yourself down onto your back. Oh, as you come down, perhaps a bit of a sigh here. You might hug the knees, rock side to side. Beautiful. From here, let's come back to neutral, planting the left foot flat. And let's extend the sole of the right foot up towards the ceiling. You could take an active version here without any hold of the arms, or you could bring the arms to anywhere along the leg for a little support. Either way, we're pressing firmly into the planted foot. We're driving this heel long, whether you're away from the body, straight up or towards the body, really doesn't matter. Probably all of us will be able to find a way to feel some length in the back of that right leg, smooth and steady with the breath. Taking 2 more breaths here. And then let's bend that right knee and let's come into a reclining pigeon. So we're going to cross this right ankle over the top of the left thigh with the right thigh easing away from the body. And it's up to you if you feel like you want to keep that left foot planted and just ease that right leg away. Or if you want to lift that left knee, taking a hold perhaps behind the knee or around the shin. Can we breathe space into the stretch here? If you've lifted that left leg off, can you check where that left knee is aligned? That instead of in the middle of the body, it is over to the left a little. If we shift it away to the left just enough to get it in line with the hip, chances are that'll bring a little bit of a stronger stretch around the right outer hip. Let's take one more smooth, steady breath here. And then releasing, letting that left foot land, uncrossing the right leg. Perhaps a bit of a sway side to side of the knees here. And then let's come to the other side, right foot planting, left heel extending. Do you want to take an active version without any support from the hands, or do you want to take hold somewhere? We press through the right foot and engage through the sole of the left. If we're stamping on the ceiling and pushing into the floor at the same time. And then let's soften that left knee, finding our figure four, that left outer ankle crossing over the right. You could stay here just with that gentle press of the left leg away from the body, or lift and hold the right leg in, as well as still letting the left leg ease away from the body. We breathe smooth and steady here. And then releasing that right leg down when you're ready. And crossing. And let's find our reclining twist here. So back to the left foot planting, right leg crossing all the way up and over this time, thighs hugging together. With our arms out wide, can we shift the hips just a little bit to the right? And then let both legs fold away to the left. As always, you can add extra support underneath the knees here if that's helpful. The gaze could be up at the ceiling or gently away to the right hand. Can we inhale space into the body here? Feeling into those stretching sensations. Exhale, letting everything go. And then gently, slowly unraveling, coming back to center. Hips back to the middle. Left leg over right this time. Right foot planting. We shift the hips a little to the left. And then both legs just rotating, pulling with them. The top edge of the pelvis, that left outer hip. Maybe around the left side of the lower back. And we settle in with the breath here. And slowly releasing. As we come back to center, what last little movements or adjustments feel right for you here? Do you want to take a rock side to side with the knees squeezed towards the chest? Maybe you want to keep the knees hugged in towards either side of the chest and release the soles of the feet up for happy baby, taking a hold either inside or the outside of the feet or the ankles or the lower behind the knees. You could bring hands over kneecaps, extend the arms and rotate the knees, bringing a little bit of massaging release to the lower back. Lots of different options to explore. And then when you're ready, I invite you to find your way to your comfortable resting place. Just feel right for you here. As we find ourselves in a place to settle for relaxation for a short while, talk us through a gradual body scan today. We're coming into this idea of embodied practice, gateway, really powerful support system for what happens to us mentally and emotionally. It can be really a lot of insight to be gained by just being with what is in our physical body. So as we move gradually through different parts of the body, which I'll gently guide us through today, perhaps with each in-breath, just noticing what is. And then with each exhale, perhaps a sense of gratitude and thanks for that part of the body, for everything it does for you, for the way it supports and carries you through your day. So I invite you to bring your awareness to your toes, to the soles of the feet, the tops of the feet and the heels. Inhaling, noticing what is. Exhaling, letting go with gratitude. Coming into the ankles, the shins and the calves, all the way down the lower legs. Inhaling to notice any sensations, any feelings there. Exhale, allowing them to be, finding thanks. Coming to the fronts and the backs of the knees, and around the upper legs. Inhaling, noticing, being with what is. And exhaling to let that go. Coming through our pelvis, our glutes, lower belly and the lower back. Inhaling, gently aware of any sensations there. Exhaling, finding gratitude for all of the things that part of the body allows us to do. Coming through the belly, the middle back, the chest and the upper back, including our ribs, our lungs, our heart. Inhaling space, finding sensation there. And exhale, letting it go with gratitude. Coming up through the shoulders, the upper arms, down to the elbows. Inhaling to notice. Exhaling to let it go. And down through the forearms, the wrists, the hands and the fingers, all the way to the tips of the fingers. Can we inhale an awareness and exhale with thanks. Bringing back up the arms and the shoulders to the back of the neck, the back of the head and the top of the head. Inhaling, gently aware of any sensations there. Exhale, simply allowing them to be as they are. Scanning down through the face now. The holder of so many of our sensations, also so much of our expression and our connection. We inhale, noticing any sensations through the face. Exhale, releasing with gratitude, letting go of any tightness or tension along with it. And coming back down through the jaw, the neck. Inhaling to notice. Exhaling to let it be. And coming back down to our heart. I invite you to rest your focus here for the rest of your time in stillness, however long you have today. From my heart to yours. Maybe take this sense of embodiment with us into our day, into our week. Noticing those times, perhaps where the stories get in the way of us living a life that is full and rich and meaningful. Knowing that we can help shift our focus and find this intention within our body. My heart to yours. I'll leave you here gently in stillness for as long as you have to stay today. Thank you for spending part of it with me, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.